All right, good morning, folks. A couple of housekeeping issues before we get started. During the GoToWebinar, if you do have any questions, if you could please post them into the questions section of GoToWebinar. We won't be monitoring the chat as we go, but we will take a look at questions as things come up. We did a quick audio check, so we should be set to go. There may be others popping in, but my name is Kevin Holbrook. I've been with CAD Dimensions almost 20 years now. I think that's important for this conversation because of the experience that we have presenting today. Right, Tom?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Tom Landry. I've been working with SolidWorks for 20 plus years and working with CAD for 30 plus years. And we kind of put on this stage because we're much like most of you, just common SolidWorks users. So if you see our little title there, the small letters is the real title. It's our excellent adventure. Kevin and I have been having a lot of fun. We've both been using 3DExperience on and off for close to 5 years. Products came in, tools came in, came out. But today we're going to kind of get you focused more on the primer standpoint. I'll explain that in a moment.
Great. So, Tom, one of the things that we talked about in the invite for this webinar is the future of product development. And I think at some point we should engage on that. But is this the future? Maybe. Let's talk about that a little bit, right? So I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, click to the next slide. So one of the fun things that's going on right now is we are using so many discrete tools. Even this presentation, we're using GoToMeeting. Then we're using a web cloud tool. And Kevin and I actually have our cell phones to the side in case we need to use those. I've been having the week from hell. My computer got an update that broke everything. I have Asana running, I have Trello running, I have Teams running, I have text, email, and sometime through this window it might be a carrier pigeon flying through. There's just so many tools running. I'm actually behind me. I got my Chromebook and the screen went down. I have, if you can see it, it's hard to see. I got the 3DExperience running on here with X shape. Okay, so what we've really put this whole thing in, and Kevin, what do you got there?
It's my iPhone running 3DExperience.
Okay, so one of the really first things about this, I just want to run through kind of what we're going to do today. A lot of times you put together a seminar like this, and when we're done, you guys know everything. Well, today that's not going to happen. Okay, today we're going to focus on the foundation of the system. But our real goal over the 3 weeks that we're going to present to you is, why is this relevant to me? And that's you, a SolidWorks user. Why are we doing this? What's going on? A moment ago, I just mentioned all the challenges we have with all the different tools. I can't wait. As soon as I get off this seminar, I get to go fix my computer again. It's going to be nice when I don't have to do that as much. That'll be kind of fun. But again, today we're going to focus on the foundation. It's the simple stuff, actually. If we keep your attention today, that's great. It's really the excitement. The good stuff is next week and the week after, frankly. Okay. We also, if you've seen anything on 3DExperience already, you've seen it from Dassault. They got an avalanche of content, and it's really, really good. We saw one last week, Kevin, you saw it too, where they basically made some waves, and within 15 minutes, they had 1,000 pieces of sheet metal they were going to put on the side of a building. Really cool functionality, stuff like that. They're presenting it, and if you get a chance to see any of their presentations, go see them. But they're doing it through a way of, they're calling personas. They're going through stories. They're showing you how different users connect in. Our persona that we're going to cover in the next couple of weeks is going to be a little simpler. It's really, I'm going to go back to the SolidWorks user, the common guy. I got a couple of people I'm working with and doing some different things. Not too long from now, this seminar will be held in the 3DExperience. We'll bring you all in. We'll have a meeting there. We'll be able to click around, and we won't even be using something like GoToMeeting, and we'll be able to do that. Okay. So we're going to get to, over the weeks, where is this going? I know, Kevin, you just brought that up a moment ago. You know, I hate to be cliche here, but the cloud's kind of the limit. Most people who got into this are thinking it's more of a CAD stuff. all the CAD stuff we're thinking about. And really it isn't. CAD's a small part of it. It's the whole structure, and it's all the communication stuff we're doing. So that's kind of what we're going to cover today. Kevin, you got anything to add?
No, one of the things I run into a lot is exactly what you're talking about, consolidation of systems, of having so many of these systems disconnected and not talking to each other. And I think for me, 3DExperience is the opposite of that. It's how do we build a bunch of tools that are connected, completely connected from front to back.
Cool. So Kevin, I'm going to say click every time we need to move a slide, because Kevin's controlling the slides today from Rochester. I'm in Connecticut, by the way. This is one of the most important slides I'm going to show you today. You guys can see what that is. We're SolidWorks users. This is my SolidWorks screen. And you're going to notice in my panel on the side, if you can read that, it says 3D PLM services. And we're going to explain a little bit more detail what that is. Notice in my panels, the one right above it, I'm a PDM user. I use PDM standard, been using it for 10 years. Used Workgroup. All the stuff that people sent me to work on, I've kept copies of and kept history of what's going on, and I can keep it safe and secure because I can't, show one person's thing to the other. So we have that background pretty similar to yours. Hopefully we'll get you kind of some ideas here, but we're going to come back to this slide next week. We're going to run through within SolidWorks and how we're going to use the experience while we're SolidWorks users. So frankly, this is the fun part we get to do. Once Kevin and I get through today, we're going to be relieved and have a little bit more fun in the weeks to come. Kevin, you want to click on that, or there you go. So I mentioned a moment ago that both Kevin and I, and some of you might have got introduced to this many years ago, and you saw a slide like this, or if you recall this, and I can tell you the first time I saw this, just this simple little thing, I got this little button, it's got all these buttons on it, and I could not remember what they were. I was tested on it, so the 3D was easy, I could remember that, but I couldn't remember anything else. When I saw the word social, the people that know me at CAD Dimension know I'm kind of an antisocial creature. I go on Facebook once a year to check to see what my kids are doing. I actually want to remove that word. When I removed that word, this thing made a hell of a lot more sense to me, because it's really, the key word here is collaboration. And this whole button right here, frankly, it's not 5 buttons or anything. It's just it's the doorway in, and you just push the button. It's one button. And we'll kind of explain that and give you an idea. So this is how it was originally presented. It still is this, all these different pieces that are connected together. And really with the key element that connects them is we're always going to be working to design something new or make something new. So that 3D thing is kind of critical. Kevin, you got anything to add? You're a little bit more social than I am.
Yeah, I mean, the social aspect of, for me, I enjoy the social. I enjoy being able to connect to people very quickly and talk about issues without having to, run from my desk or call someone on the phone and get a quick answer. You can pop it in to some social platform while you have the comment, and then wait for a response when it comes back. So to me, that's been enjoyable, but I don't like having to leave all the tools I'm in and get, you have to launch something else, or even for me, like social platforms, I use, LinkedIn, Facebook, I use Twitter, but if they're all separate, you've got to go into them and remember to go into them. This idea of bringing everything together is just, it's meaningful for me, I guess, for communication.
I like 1Password.
Right.
I get 200 passwords in my password safe. So guys, let me explain you this slide and kind of where we're going to go with this. These are 3 words that are used in this whole system, and they talk about roles, we talk about applications and widgets. And what's a role? It kind of doesn't really mean much to you until you kind of break it down. So we're going to help you with that right now. We're actually going to focus today on the left screen. It's called the Collaborative Business Innovator role. Now, frankly, it's anyone in this 3D experience is that. So I don't really need to call it a role. I actually call it the default. That's what we do. And today, in the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to cover the key areas of what is the business innovator role, which is basically everybody who gets into this program will be using. So the role next to it, collaborative industry innovator, we're going to talk about that next week because that's tied into using SolidWorks. I got a project planner role up there. There's a nice project planning tool. If anyone wants to make sourdough bread, I got a project plan for it. I'll probably share that with the community a little bit later. And I wanted to show you that the little button there at the bottom right, my favorites. And you notice my favorite app, still SolidWorks. I'm in SolidWorks. That's my key tool I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using these tools to kind of connect in. So go ahead and hit a click for a second there. Thank you. So, it's a collaborative business innovator. That's a role. These are broken up into roles. You see the applications below it. Go ahead and click again, please. Okay, so here's an application. Okay, now, Kevin, up in the upper right corner of the icon, there's a little arrow. To help them understand what that means.
Yeah, so this little arrow next to where it says 3D markup, it's in the upper right-hand corner of the icon, tells me that this is a completely cloud-based application. In other words, my ability to run it is not dependent on whether I have the appropriate hardware to do that, whether I want to access it through my cell phone, through a Chromebook, I'm at the coffee shop and I want to do some markups, I can do that because this role is completely cloud-based.
And go click again, please. Okay, so you notice this app over here has an arrow on the side. That's a desktop app, okay? When I click on that, it's going to bring me back to my desktop. So I can't do that on my Chromebook. I have to be on my workstation or my laptop to do that. Okay. You're also going to notice, if you can look close, you see it says 3D Play. I think it says three different times. It's the same app. It's just how you get into it and what it does is a little different. The first one that over to the way left has a Microsoft symbol on it. That's for Windows. The one next to it is an app that is a widget that Kevin just explained. And there's another one over on the next page that you open up and kind of doesn't fit in. We'll explain the reason why there's more in a couple moments there. Go ahead and click again. Okay, so we're really going to focus on the 3DExperience, the foundation role in the foundation apps. You can call them widgets. Kevin's better at knowing what's a widget and what's an app. They're all the same to me. I think a widget, Kevin, is that when it's in a dashboard?
Yeah, widgets used within other applications, believe it or not.
Okay, so when we showed you the slide a moment ago and we showed you collaborative business innovator, which is a mouthful, there was 20, 25, I don't know, 15 apps or something like that, or widgets. I'm showing you 5 right here. These are the ones we're going to talk about in the next few moments. Okay, and go ahead and click. Okay, this is the key one. This is actually the most important app that we're going to deal with. And it really is powerful. It's pretty good. So we're going to follow that through. And you can click again. We're going to then go into the dashboard. If you can think about, how it's set up and how you're going to work, dashboards to me are going to be a lot like a template. Go ahead, Kevin. And we'll talk about the drive, and you use drives now. You use Dropbox and many others, and we'll kind of tie this one in. Go ahead, Kev. And there's the play thing that we showed you 3 icons. We might as well, since we showed you 3 icons, we might as well show you how one of them works. Right? And the last one is the search, and we'll show you a little bit about that and how valuable it is and how quick it is. You saw PDM on my system. I use it to find things. I use that to know my history, all the stuff that I can get here. Go ahead, Kevin. Okay, so 3D Swim is 2 things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain them to you, and then Kevin's going to jump into it and kind of give you a couple button pushes and everything like that. the most important part of it begins with the community. This is the foundation of this whole system. And what is a community? It's really anybody with a common purpose, any type of group. So Kevin and I have a community we put together. We call it, what do we call that, Kevin? Coffee and Projects.
Coffee and Projects. Yep.
Yeah. We also called it the Midnight Patrol because in honor of Laura and Hardy. We're arguing over who's Laura and who's Hardy right now. We haven't decided. Maybe we could have a poll on that next week.
So Tom, I'm always confused. 3D swim.
Yep.
What?
So 3D swimming is see what you mean, right? Is that what it means? And
yes.
What I did is I blew out onto the right there, and we'll show you a couple of these. When I have a community and I'm in it, I put a group of people together. And in my community, I can do things. I can make posts. I can put images. I can do, hey, we do. So, hey, let's create some tasks that we do, some simple things, ideas, questions, surveys, and then we can build knowledge bases, little wiki pages and stuff like this. So Kevin's going to show you a little bit of how this goes together. And then later on, we're going to come back to it and say, oh, when we're downstream, how do we use it? And that's search. I can go back and find things so quick. Now, here's a really important community for you guys. If I'm a SolidWorks user and I'm working with people that I have to share my data, yeah, they're going to have to get to your community. You can invite them in. Now, if they're already a member of 3DExperience, you're going to cost you nothing. They're already going to have it. Similarly, if they're SolidWorks users and you're SolidWorks users. But you may be even in a place where you're going to spend a few dollars to get your clients so that you can share and work with them in this particular realm. If you think about all the costs you spend trying to communicate with people now, the amount of time you save, the cost is not going to be that big of a deal. But most SolidWorks users are going to, at some point, be in some way connected into this. Go ahead, Kevin. Okay. The second side of swim is conversations. Okay. And well, little technical difficulties, huh, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. So I don't have to tell you what all these are. I mentioned them before, all the different ways we communicate and do things like that. We can use, I can be sitting in my 3D swim in a conversation and we can start with, putting some things back and forth. Kevin will send me a little message, what about this, what about that? And I get kind of tired of typing because my fingers get sore. I'll hit the button and do a video conference, or I'll do a phone call, many different things, all within the system. So it works out pretty well. I don't know about you guys, all these social apps. I mean, I got a son-in-law who lives in England right now, and we're WhatsApping every day. I just learned that one. That's my newest one that I'm pretty cool about. But all these different things. It is so simple when I can do it in one spot. So Kevin, you want to give them a little bit of a tour of 3D Swim?
Sure. So Tom mentioned that we have a community called Coffees and Projects, and I think one of the important aspects of any application that runs on 3DExperience is that it looks the same from an interface perspective. That's because many of the elements are the same. And let me kind of take you through some of the basic elements that you'll see when you're in an application. First of all, you have your compass off to the left. This is what Tom mentioned with the different quadrants. This really just acts as a button so you can see the applications that are available to you. You can see I've kind of set my favorites here, but just to show you how big we are with 3DExperience and the number of roles and applications, it's much bigger than our conversation today. Hence, we are going to be having more conversations in weeks to come. Next to the compass, you'll have an identification of the brand of application that we're working in, 3DExperience being this baseline of tools that we're talking about today. And to the right of it, it's actually telling me what application I'm using. So here I have the 3D Swim application. I'm in the community called Coffee and Projects. In the center of the screen at the top is always going to be my search, my ability to type in some information. We're going to cover more of that and find what I'm looking for. As we work our way across the top bar, we have an icon that represents you as a person. This is your preferences, your roles, your activity. Because this is a collaboration and communication tool, things like setting yourself as offline, and like you would in any messaging app, you would do that here. And continuing to the right is just more added value, things like sharing and notifications and my bookmark content, as well as help. But all of the applications that we get into will have the same top bar that we'll see. Now, within communities, it's pretty simple. Off to the left, I have a list of all the communities that are available to me. Communities can be secret, meaning only available to
Kevin, I was going to point out that our coffee and projects is no longer secret. We're showing these people.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. They're going to know that we're going to upgrade to SP3 now, Tom. Yep. We're in trouble. Wow. So you have a list of those communities, and you can switch between them. In the center of the screen is really where the information gets presented to you. You have, as Tom mentioned, posts, tasks, ideas. These are all, typical social platform. You can like something, you can comment back, you can post media as a response. If I want a new item that I want to post to it, I just hit the little button here. I can post the different types of things. If you have a question about anything, this is just media. We can post surveys. There even is a wiki page, Tom, that, I think some of the information that you gather trying to find a central spot that's shareable, whether it's with a customer, outlining a process of collaborating or anything like that, where you have a wiki to do that. So,
hey, Kevin, can you scroll down in your,
sure.
So a few things here. So, well, one of the things I did yesterday is I created an idea, and you notice that my idea is that I've made it a bonehead idea. Because that's just, we created, okay, when you have an idea, if it works through a process, and even something as simple as an idea, hey, let's go, oh, that's a good concept. Let's go do it. Let's go do some research on it. Let's have some ideas. So all this thought we can capture constantly. And the key is when we do it, we can go back and find it.
I'm saving you. It's no longer a boneheaded idea. I like it.
I think it's brilliant, actually, but I didn't move it there yet.
Great. So this is this concept of communities. The ability to add all these different items, even moving them between different types. Here I have just a post talking about working with external vendors. This is something we're going to cover next week. I know it's an issue with all of our SolidWorks customers when you have an external vendor and you need to be able to transfer data back and forth. But here I have an idea. What if we use 3DExperience to do that? So I'm going to just change this to an actual idea, and instead of a post, it's now my boneheaded idea, which I think you'll appreciate, Tom. I took over for you there. Another aspect of SWIM, before we jump back into what the other tools are, is the ability to have conversations. Now, conversations this is that messaging app type tool that we talked about. It's just the ability to have conversations with one or more people. There is audio and video call conferencing with this. So, if you're using Teams or other tools very similar to connect, it's all here together. So I think communities is exactly what you described, Tom. Social and collaboration. We post the things that make sense. There's no limit to the number of communities. I could create a community just for one customer that's private for me and the customer, and we have a conversation about something specific. So what do you think?
Cool.
All right.
Of course, we get it because we're doing it, right?
Exactly.
So dashboard, what's a dashboard? And it's so simple. It really is. It's the organization. So Kevin made a dashboard a couple weeks ago and shared it with the entire tech support team. So everyone at CAD Dimensions actually can click on the exact same dashboard and things are in the exact same places, which helps us learn things. But they're really quick and easy to put together. And really, it's as simple as describing it as you're just organizing your desktop. You want to give them a quick little run on it, Kev?
Sure. let's see here. Okay, so dashboards, exactly as Tom described. Now, here's another way to envision this. With the 3DExperience platform, we have eventually hundreds of apps that are going to be available to us. And a dashboard allows us to organize those apps, kind of like you would tools in your tool chest. You want the wrenches over here and the screwdrivers over here because you know how to find them and how easily to get them. So a dashboard, you can see here, I'm in the base 3DExperience. I'm using the 3D dashboard application. And this is my dashboard called the webinar dashboard, which right now is currently blank. So what I can do with this is take my favorite apps and start to drag and drop and organize them on the tabs. The tabs can be renamed. Okay, so we'll call this my community. I can maximize it. I can make sure that it's set to my favorite communities, and this will stay like this anytime I work in a dashboard. My next tab, we're going to call this Play and Drive, is going to utilize some other applications that we're going to work with today. One called 3D Drive.
You've been teaching a lot of people how to use 3DExperience. You've been using Common Dashboard when you teach them, right? So you know where their stuff is and they know where their stuff is? Yeah,
the Common Dashboard concept is nice because you know, you're kind of all on the same page. It's like almost like a folder system would be in Windows, right? Except everyone's using the same set and location for that information. So what I want to do in this case is I want to add a few of those to this. I can organize them. I can set how they fit to the screen. And then lastly, I want to go ahead and add my search tools, which Tom's going to show a little bit later on, to one of those tabs as well. And then just to float a little primer for the weeks to come, we are going to introduce design applications that will actually run in here as well. And just to give you a little sense, let's do X design. We're actually going to design out of our dashboard in a few weeks. So there's a little primer for you. So dashboards are, to me, the base way of getting access to tools from the platform. It allows you to organize them and easily switch between them, Tom.
Cool.
Okay. So bounce back here.
Okay, so we're not going to do a deep demo right now in 3D Drive. We're going to show you a little bit. Kevin's got a few things when he shows you play. I think you're going to type play and drive together, Kevin?
Yeah, I think I'll toss some data in 3D Drive. Okay. Yep.
So we're going to show you, talk about 3D Drive. It's part of the base product. Next week, we're going to talk about 3D Space, which is more of a managed area. But if you think about 3D Drive, it's basically that idea. It's, you know, if you got a Google Drive, you've been using something simpler, Dropbox, or even My Documents, or, you know, if you're up in Teams now too, something to that effect. Okay. So go ahead and click. Okay. Oh. We're going to talk about search. So it's a database. Everything behind what we're dealing with is a database. And when you ever talk to Kevin or I or anybody in CAD Dimensions about PDM, that's the value of PDM, is that we have a database that we can find information, and knowing where SOLIDWORKS files are used was so critical and that type of thing. But we want to really take advantage of it. And so right here, you're going to kind of see there's something called 6W tags. And what I've done on to the right there, here's the who's. If you click, Kevin. Okay, here's the whens. I'm not going to explain you all these, they're pretty obviously. The what's. Okay, where, why, how. I think I got a where, I didn't keep going. So these are all separated and going in to do it. So what I'm going to do is if Kevin, you want to give me a share ability here, and I will give him a quick little idea of finding stuff in my So let me just minimize this for a second. Get that to the side. So I'm sitting here in my 3DExperience. You guys see it, right? See my screen, Kevin?
Yes. Yep,
okay.
I can see you.
So I'm at the post, and we had a bunch of posts and going on the other day, and there was something interesting to me, and I don't remember where it is. I don't want to keep looking, so I'm just going to do something as simple as type in a single word and just go look for it. So, oh, you know what happened? I was sitting dormant, and I might have to go back in.
Disconnected. Yeah.
Yep, that's all right.
Yeah, so as Tom's recovering from that, just restarting. So that search bar and the 6W tags really allows you to search on everything. The tags are automatic. They're created when you create the content, whether it's a post, whether it's something you put in 3D Drive. These are all created automatically. So when you type in that data, it knows that it's looking for all sorts of different content that's available to a user. What's also interesting is that you can also create your own tags. So if you wanted to tag some data to find something that's a particular material, I could tag it as a what. And it's kind of like SolidWorks, where you could do the tags in the feature tree. You could select a particular item and apply a tag to it. Looks like Tom's just about where he needs to be here.
So just FYI for you guys, if you leave it dormant, sometimes you have to close it. So I'm going to go back right where I was and a quick little search. And yeah, we had a little conversation the other day, and it was a big argument at CAD Dimensions on what do you call soda. I lived in Michigan, we called it pop. I live in Connecticut, we call it soda. It's called other places, other things. Quick way to find something, nothing too complicated. But you know, think about a conversation you had and there's some key word. You can go find it quickly. Okay, that's one use of it. I'm going to show you just real quick a little bit about data. So I'm going to go into my data, and I mentioned that the 3D Drive, and we'll kind of get into that too. You can see some of my documents there. But here's my 3D space, and this is the information that we put in, and there's hundreds and hundreds of files in it. I actually want to find some stuff, and I know it's something I wanted to do. Now, if it's me, I can actually come into search and say, just show me my stuff. So instead of doing that, I'm actually going to go into the tags and give you kind of an idea. So here's that screen I showed you a moment ago where I can tighten things down and get to the tags. So, you know, if I knew somebody owned something and it wasn't me, I'd come here, but it's me, so I'm still going to use that tag. Okay, and there was another thing in here. I knew what kind of type it was. So there's all these different types I showed you a moment ago. Well, this is called a physical product. We'll talk about that next week. It's kind of a CAD file. So now I'm down to a few different things. You know, I'm down enough if I can find that sponge holder that I showed you before. Now, we showed you the dashboard. We showed you all that kind of stuff. Literally one of the real valuable things, and I'm just going to take this and drag it up and slide it down and try that again because it's a little slow. Let's do that again. And drop it in.
So, yeah, Tom, this is one of the values of dashboard to me is, you know, you can drag between tabs and essentially moving content from one to the other.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I dragged the wrong part in, and you're going to see this is something that's actually the uncommon loon I was working on X shape, so I didn't even drag the right thing in, but you get the idea of what's going in and what's happening. So that's a quick little search. You know, again, one little thing, simple, just showing you a keyword, the other using the tags and just getting something in the screen. Okay. Kevin, you want to take the screen back?
I can do that. All right. So I think we're going to close with 3D Play and a little bit of 3D Drive and kind of summarize what we just showed you today. And 3D Play, very simple. We're all used to the tools that are similar. eDrawings. This is the eDrawings for 3DExperience or for the cloud. It's a universal viewer that's available. It has connection to what Tom just showed you, which is 3D Space, but also 3D Drive. So let me go into my platform for a moment, and I'm going to actually, let's just go to my Play and Drive section here. So 3D Drive is just like Dropbox, Google Drive. This is your cloud-based 3DExperience sharing of files tool. Now, if I go into my 3D Drive for this particular platform, I can see all the information that I have in here. If I want to open it up in Play, I can just drop it in Play and it will open up the document directly in that tab. Now, on my machine, if I minimize this here, you will see in my shortcuts in Windows, you will see the access to the drive locations. This is where the data is being synchronized. So if I find a bit of data like this PDF that you're seeing here and I drop it in, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to trigger a synchronization between what's on my local machine and what's on the cloud-based 3DExperience. You can see the little green check mark here. And if I come back to the content, one way to deal when you have two apps on the same tab is I just hit the little maximize button. I can go down and find the particular item that I want. This is this particular PDF. If I minimize it again, I can actually just drag and drop it over to 3D Play, and I'm able to view it. Now, 3D Play, much like eDrawings, has some further capability. So let me just toss a assembly in here, and we'll take a look at some of the things that are available in 3D Play.
Kevin, it helps when you drop the correct drawing in, right?
Yeah, so this is a SolidWorks file, Tom. This is not something created on the platform, not any of the formats. This is me putting a SolidWorks file out here to share and collaborate, whether it's you internally as a coworker or externally as a vendor. This gives us that platform to talk about it, to view it, and so on. So typically, just like eDrawings, you have tools, for changing how you want to visualize it, changing, maybe you want an illustration mode versus wireframe versus shaded with edges. We're all used to those concepts. Ability to pan, zoom, rotate, those are all available. But here's some new things. The ability to share to your swim community, which will take an image and create a new post. Save screenshots to add images to other content, other locations on the platform, or even print those out. If I go to the tools, here's your measure, your cross section. There's some explode tools in here, which are kind of neat. It's an auto explode, but it's kind of neat way of doing things. Again, all cloud-based, which means what, Tom? Can I do this on my cell phone?
You can do it anywhere.
Do it anywhere, right? So the versatility of such is important. There's also some annotation commands which are quite interesting. I could come in here and say, you know what, let's annotate this thing. I'm going to point to this, and then I might want to move the model around a little bit, do one of these, and then go back to my annotations, and I'll point to something else. I'm going to show the control knob. Now, once I have these, I have tools to kind of flip between my annotations. So functionality-wise, there is more value than just the basics here. 3D Play does view many file formats. I put it in Drive. I can throw it in here. I can create images. I can toss it in my community. And it's a great way to bring everything together.
Cool.
Okay.
Nice job.
Let's head back here.
Okay, I think we kind of got through what we were looking to do. I'm going to apologize. This was not the most exciting of our 3 series. Actually, next week will probably be the highlight. That's going to be the car chase and the flames and all that kind of stuff, because that's really what it's about. We're SolidWorks users. We're going to connect in, and we're going to show you how that works. Pretty cool. But we really wanted you guys to get the idea of what's happening, the basics, the simple stuff, just to be primed up on what's going on. So when we're clicking around, you know what the heck we're talking about. Again, I'm going to remind you, come back next week. It'll be more fun than this week. Kevin's going to get a haircut. And if you're interested in finding more of these persona experiences that Dassault's making, they're wonderful. And if you don't find them, we can help you find them.
Tom, a quick question for you. So now we've introduced them to the base platform, 4 or 5 different apps. What version are we on? I mean, what do I have to worry about? Is it 2019, 2020? Like, how do I know what version of the apps I'm using on the platform?
Yeah, I know, because I get an email that they updated everything.
You mean your IT updated everything?
Yeah, I get an email from Dassault and it says, hey, by the way, we updated everything on the cloud, so next time you go in, it's a new version. And if that affects anything on my local system, the next time I open it, little hourglass goes and it updates there. So almost exactly like my Chromebook.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's something we can't discount in all of this, is that cloud-based applications on 3DExperience update automatically. They have more releases than we have on the desktop products, and all they do is send a date and say, hey, this day we're updating everything, and you log in the next day and everything's there. I know the next one is over July 4th weekend. We're going to come in, we're going to have new tools, things are going to be updated. There's nothing I have to do from an IT perspective, and I think that's valuable to our customers.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, I'm done. I look forward to seeing people next week.
So at this point, we'll go ahead and stop. If you have any questions, please post them in the question section of GoToWebinar. I know this was kind of the base. I do have a couple smiles in the question section. I don't know whether they were laughing at our presentation today or whether that's a good smile, but I appreciate it either way. Paul, what if I want to upgrade when SolidWorks does an upgrade? So the upgrade path for 3DExperience is automatic. There is no ability to stay back. You're always on the most current. Now, the connectivity to SolidWorks we'll discuss next week. So the add-in, I guess the question would be, why wouldn't you want to upgrade? I guess it probably is related to compatibility, right? You're concerned that.
Let's address that next week.
Yeah, you're probably concerned about upgrading SolidWorks and having it cause an issue with your connectivity to the cloud. We'll talk about how that works next week. My SolidWorks is always a year behind. I'm assuming this individual might be EDU, and that's been considered. EDU is upgraded a little differently because they are typically a year behind on the desktop software. So that has been considered, and if you want to talk further about that, just give us a call, Paul, and we can talk about that. Any other questions? Does not look to be. I hope to see everyone next week. We are going to run 3DExperience from inside SolidWorks. We are going to put data out on the cloud. We are going to talk about how we can collaborate with external vendors and external individuals or folks that are traveling or outside the building. We did get another question. As an educator, I'm looking to use 3DExperience with my class. In the classroom, or if all the students are at home, how will this 3DExperience help me with this? So what we just showed you is the base roles in application on the platform. What you're going to see over the subsequent weeks are tools that will allow you to design completely cloud-based, store data completely cloud-based. So as an educator, for me, what I would see is that you can have a curriculum surrounded by the ability to design and go through engineering concepts while not needing to have that high-powered desktop, laptop, or even the connectivity to the servers in the engineering rooms. So that is should be a big help, especially concerning the state of the world today. This will be your virtual classroom, and you will have many tools available to you to again educate engineering concepts using these applications that are web-based. So hopefully that helps. I assume that 3DExperience is an extra subscription in addition to SOLIDWORKS. So that is an ever-changing response, but the 3DExperience platform is a different approach to how we sell software. It is software as a service. You only pay for what you need. If you want it, we can sell it in 3-month increments, a year at a time. At this point in time, Matt, the SOLIDWORKS subscription, what we call the desktop, will continue as is. But what you will see very soon is I'll call it a bundle for the lack of a better term, but an offering that that will include 3DExperience for the desktop users. And you know, you can expect that within a couple weeks here. So I guess stay tuned a little bit to that information. It is not subscription, so let's we'll make sure we get that out of the way. This is software as a service. You're only paying for what you use. You don't want to use it, it just shuts off. You want to use it again, you turn it back on. So these are, it's a different approach. So next question. How easy is it to learn that design platform as a SOLIDWORKS user? I'll be building my curriculum this summer and begin teaching it in the fall. Paul, that's a great question. As a SOLIDWORKS user, the design applications, the ones that we're going to show 2 weeks from now, are very easy to learn. They're very comparable to SOLIDWORKS. The icons, many of them, they're the same, but they took the opportunity to make the cloud-based design tools remove some of the limitations of what we have on the desktop. Here's one example that we'll show you in a few weeks. When I use XDesign, there's no more concepts of parts and assemblies. It's a single modeling environment. I can create a body, turn it into a part, and then create another body right next to it, turn it into a part, and all of a sudden I'm in an assembly. So there are some concepts that are different, but as far as learning the design tools as a SOLIDWORKS user, it's a very easy transition. What becomes different, Paul, is you now got more power, right? You've got communication, collaboration tools, you know, communities to work together in. So there's a little bit of learning around those things. But Tom,
Kevin,
maybe you want to add something? Yep.
You and I, we've been using SOLIDWORKS for so long. You got to think about these guys that never learned SOLIDWORKS, because if it's a school, they're starting in the beginning. And when you clear your mind and get into the XDesign, they took everything they learned from SOLIDWORKS and made it easier. A simple example is, you know, I'm going to do an extrusion in SOLIDWORKS. I got to click a different button if I'm cutting or adding material. In XDesign, I'm doing an extrusion. As I'm doing it, what am I doing? Am I adding material? Am I taking material away? Am I making a surface? And just simplify. The interface is very similar, but it's so much simplified and much more organic. It's going to be a heck of a lot easier to learn from ground zero. than SolidWorks
Yeah,
was. Now, SolidWorks is very intuitive, very easy to learn. So imagine it even easier.
Yeah, I agree. In other words, what's the learning curve?
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, is there a learning curve? Like I said, I think the transition to the CAD tools, I think probably the learning curve is more related around the base platform tools and how you might integrate those in the navigation on the platform more than it will be the design tools. Last question, are these going to be recorded and sent out? They will be recorded. I believe we're going to post these. I can confirm and get somebody from our team to respond on that because it looks like this person will miss next week. But they will be recorded and you will be able to get access to these. Excellent. All right. I appreciate everyone attending. I hope everyone will attend next week. It will get much, much deeper next week. We had to kind of build that base. Nice understanding going into the collaboration piece with SolidWorks next week. So look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.